YUCI Talks. I'm your host, Angela Crockett. And today we will be chatting with Mary Millben. Mary is an award winning singer and actress. She is also an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and global ambassador for education. Her distinguished career began as a White House presidential appointee to President George W. Bush. And she has been on fire and unstoppable ever since. She has performed the national anthem and patriotic music for three consecutive US presidents, world leaders, and international royalty. Mary, your journey is a movie, and it is the epitome. You wrote the book on the American dream. Welcome to YUCI Talks.
Well, it is great to be with you, Angela. My old friend, I say, because to the audience, hello to the audience watching. It's great to be with you. And it's my friend of many years. That lengthy bio that she read, I'm just a country girl from Oklahoma, so a gal. But that bio starts with Angela, my origins. We met many years ago, of course. And at the start of my career, when I was just getting started in the business, and I tell you, what a full circle to be here with you, Angela, and all of those watching today.
Oh, honey, likewise. And yes, and I'm still looking. There's a picture I had, and I can't find it for some reason, but I'm going to find it. I'm going to share it with you. When we were at some place in New York, and
yes,
someone snapped a picture of us.
Yes,
I will find it. But Mary, my God, honey, since then, whatever year that was, I can't remember. I just know it's been many years. And I, too, consider you a friend and family, and I am a fan as well.
Oh,
and I have watched your career just take off. I am super proud of you, to say the least.
Bless you.
Mary, how, and I'm sure this is a question you get, but I have to ask. We want to know, how does a small town girl from Oklahoma land on such a colossal stage with giants? How does this happen?
I tell you, it's I attribute it to two things. First, to God, and certainly I will invoke probably several times my reference to being a woman of faith, because that's who I am, and faith and divinity is so much a part of my journey. So I don't mean to offend anyone's audience, but I think everyone certainly can understand the importance of divinity in a journey. I attribute it to two things, Angela. First, to God. Divinity has been all through the thread of my journey from the start to date. And so God has tremendously blessed me with the opportunities that I have been given, and the ability to sing on global stages and have interactions with people all over the world. And then the second, I really attribute to the American dream. I am a proud American. As I love India and certainly love countries all over the world, I love my country. And I tell you, here in America, we are blessed and afforded so many wonderful opportunities to take our dreams and make them fly. And so I really attribute to God and the benefits of the American dream that I've been given. My mom had my mother was a single mother who raised 4 kids, and did a great job doing it, I'll say. But we grew up with very humble beginnings, and it was really just by the grace of God and the beauty and benefits of this great country and people in this great country who were a part of my journey and nurturing my journey and watering my journey and helping me get to the places where I have been able to achieve. So, no one person's story only includes you. It includes a multitude of people, a village of people, and that's really the truth. It was really God, America, and great people. So,
wow, that's I love that you acknowledge God, and I'm a woman of faith as well, and I don't believe that there's any gift or talent that we have, everything that we have, waking up in the morning, comes
Yes,
from God. And to be able to understand that, I think that's the biggest success we will ever have, because we
yes,
understand purpose. And
that's right.
that's it, your
That's
purpose, Mary. And I read what you said on your website, that you're let me get this right. You're devoted to using your voice as a platform to share God's love with the hearts and people globally.
yes.
That's fantastic, because music does that.
Music does that. It does, Angela, and that's the beauty. I mean, whether you're in India, whether you're in America, or any part of the world, that sense of divinity that is in all of our lives. What I love so much about India and the Indian culture, because there is a very deep rooted understanding of the attachment of faith, the attachment of divinity, in the context of a journey. And when we tap into that energy and marry it with our professional calling, all the things you can do, all the places that God will take you. And I certainly have been blessed with the vehicle of music to
Yes.
do just that, to stand on stages and be in rooms and be in different parts of the world and unify our hearts around
Mm.
the universal language of music. We're living in times where all of our differences are magnified, and a lot of things that are unfortunately dividing us across the country, but and across the world. But that's what music does. It brings us all back to the table and reminds us of our commonality for each other, our commonalities between each other, between our communities and cultures, and it unifies our hearts. Everybody loves a good melody. Everybody loves certainly a good story, and music. It really is the story of all of our lives, and so that's what I love about the music industry. It's certainly what I love about the vehicle of music as a mechanism to unify. And I'm just grateful that I've had this really blessed, I'm very humbled, blessed career to travel the world and share music and meet other cultures and remind us all that we're all one family. We're all one family.
Yes, that's absolutely, that's beautifully said, Mary. Mary, what was as a little girl, did you aspire to, is this where you saw yourself as an adult? Or were you going in a whole nother direction? How did this all come about?
Yeah, that's a great question. The little Mary was certainly a dreamer, and so she was always dreaming about something, as I think most kids do. But no, I honestly was not by any means planning or thinking about going into a career in music at all. I was really on a fast track at a young age into a political career. It's
Mm.
what led me from college to go work for President George W. Bush in the White House administration, and from there I really was preparing as a very young staffer, preparing to go to law school and pursue public office or do something meaningful in Washington D.C. And it really just was by default of being in the Washington D.C. area and certainly working for President Bush, where this love for music and theater and the arts really started to germinate. And
Mm.
I was invited. A friend of mine was working in First Lady Laura Bush's office at the time, and they needed somebody to come and sing for Christmas parties and Christmas tours at the White House. And so I would leave my office and put on a dress and run over to the West Wing and sing for the president's Christmas tours and parties. And so many people come through the White House during that holiday season. And to that point, that's where I met some producers and folks that were funders to the Kennedy Center and Arena Stage, and these are prominent theaters in Washington D.C. And that honestly, Angela, is the origin of how I got started. When my term with the president ended, about 3 weeks after the inauguration of President Obama, which was certainly a wonderful moment in the country, I left and started rehearsals for a Broadway show that was opening in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
And as unorthodox as that story is, it's the truth. That's exactly how I got started. And so when people ask me this question, as you have, how did you get started? Was this your dream? It really wasn't, but it was amazing how Washington, D.C. really became, it became the incubator, I would say, for my love for the arts, and then it perpetuated my professional career. And then the rest is history. I moved to New York, and life just started to take on its own, and here we are. So,
and here we are, and that is so apropos of our God, because
yes,
we think we're going in one direction,
yeah.
then all of a sudden he cuts us off and takes us in a completely different direction, and you're like, wait a minute, I wasn't ready for this. Right. But clearly you definitely were gifted with the voice, and you had that voice probably since you can remember.
Well, yeah, we grew up singing in the church. My parents are both retired ministers, and so church was really the breeding ground for all of us in the arts. But I honestly think, Angela, it's one thing that I always say to young people, and certainly in the context of the audience today, and we all have a calling, we all have a purpose, and you should never question that. God put us all here individually on earth for, yes, individual callings, and then collective things that we're to do together to make the world a better place. And so I always challenge young people to, well, first believe that is the truth. You really do have a calling and a purpose. And then, be open to the unorthodox energy of God, because you may start one place in one way, and then God may bring something else and bring another avenue. And, so he is a very strategic God, but God is he's full of surprises. He's always, so I always just tell young people, be open to the energy of divinity in your life. Be open to how God can use all of your gifts in an array of arenas and areas, certainly to contribute to something larger than yourself. And I'm a living witness of that, to be honest. My life is a living witness of that.
You are, Mary, and you are extremely humble for your accolades. And that's one of the things that I so love about you when I first met you, is your humility. And never have you got a big head, or thought of you. You've always been gracious, and I want to share that to our audience, because that's hugely important, as when God is moving you towards your purpose and destiny, that you never get too. Don't get ahead of God. Don't get big-headed thinking this is me. This is all me. It is not. Everything comes from above, and not that we want to preach the house down here. That's not it. But we also want to give honor, and where honor is due, and we recognize where those gifts come from. But Mary is a humble human being, and this is why you've been so blessed, Mary, and have achieved the achievements that you have.
Well, Angela, you hit a great point, which I just want to drive home to the young people watching. And humility is your greatest ticket to life. And I say that so much because we're living in a culture right now with all the influences of social media and all these different mediums that constantly put distorted focus on yourself, and over promotion and all this kind of stuff. And I just want to tell young people, humility is your greatest ticket to life. When you really understand that, all that you are certainly is the combination of divinity and certainly hard work. You have to be a good steward of your gifts on this earth, and that's important. But really, we are so blessed to be given gifts to contribute to the world. We're so blessed every day with the opportunities that we have to share. And so I just want to really encourage young people watching that it is your humility, it is your constant tip to the hat to God above for what you do and what you're given and what you're able to contribute to the world. And the more postured you stay in humility, the higher you go, the further you'll go, and the more impact you will have across the world. Every day, Angela, I get up and I get on my knees and I say, Lord, thank you for the day. Thank you that I'm alive, and humble myself before that divinity so that I can be best used on this earth. So it is. Humility it's the greatest ticket to life.
Wow, wow, and wow. Mary, you just recently came back from India.
Yeah.
You celebrated the 75th Independence Day.
Yes.
Tell us all about that experience. And that wasn't your first time, if I'm not.
No. It was, in fact,
Okay.
and I know because I've had so much interface with India. I think a lot of people say, "Oh, you've certainly been to India." I said, "No, it was actually my first time." I have this beautiful love affair with this beautiful country, and certainly the beautiful people of India, the Indian American community, Indian communities across the world. I'm just so thankful and blessed that I've been invited into this 1.4 billion big family in India. But I tell you, it was such a wonderful trip. I had been wanting to go to India for several years, certainly after some virtual performances that I had done in 2020 during COVID that took on a life of its own in India and certainly across the world. And those years, these last several years, it's just been such a blessing to really develop a relationship with India virtually. And so, well, August arrived and the opportunity was presented from the government of India, ICCR, which is the Indian Council for Cultural Relations there, and the Ministry of External Affairs. And I tell you, they facilitated this beautiful invitation and trip to experience India, certainly at the height of its patriotism during Independence Day, which is equivalent certainly to our July 4th here in America. And so I was so just humbled to be invited, certainly to represent America as the first American and first African American artist to be invited to the country for the independence observance. And it was just, it was humbling, certainly in the context of our conversation, but it was just wonderful to finally be in the country and experience India, experience the culture, certainly experience the country at the height of patriotism, to see all of these beautiful people expressing their love for their country and certainly their love for the leader of their country, His Excellency Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who certainly has become a friend and someone that I support greatly. And so it really was, Angela. It's a trip I think about daily now, being back in the United States and very anxious to return here at the top of the year. So.
Wow, beautiful. Do you think, and I've heard it said along my journey in life, once you experience another country outside of, USA, as we both are born here, and United States citizens, when you experience these other countries, doesn't that change you and change your whole outlook on life?
It does. It's another push I give to young people, and I certainly will say to the young people watching, it's so important that you experience the world at an early age. It's why I'm a big supporter and believer in studying abroad during college. Those are your development years as you're in college, and if you're not in college, that's okay too. Just those years between the 18 and 24, 25, are really important years to experience the world. And yes, Andrew, to answer your question, it's so important. It really changes your perspective of life and people and the world. And I know in my experiences, I was blessed to start early in high school and in college, experiencing the world through study abroad programs, certainly through ministry outlets with our church and my family from Oklahoma. And to see parts of the world at that age, it gave me such an appetite for doing something larger than myself, but also doing something outside of American borders. And so I think that was a big inspiration to wanting to go into music when it was presented, to be able to carry that, across the world. So yes, I was reborn in a new way coming back from India in August, from what I was able to experience and see, and then finally be a part of this large family and country that I have had such a beautiful love affair with for years.
That's awesome. Where do you go from here, Mary? What's next?
Yeah, what's next? Well, I'm about ready for a vacation. How about we go somewhere, Angela?
That's a good idea.
I'm about ready for an island that has no cell phone service where you can just relax. Yeah. No, I better not tell the young people. You work hard, but you got to play hard too. But you got to work hard first to play hard. So you got a lot of years of all the young people watching. You still got some work to do. But I tell you, what's next? I currently right now I am in Los Angeles, here in the United States. I got cast randomly because it certainly wasn't in my schedule or anything, but cast in a Broadway-bound show called The Lincolns of Springfield. It's all about the story of Abraham Lincoln and Mary Todd Lincoln. And I play the role of a gal named Elizabeth Keckley, who was the first free slave and certainly who's very instrumental to the history of Abraham Lincoln, the history of the White House, certainly the history of freedom and the American dream. And so I am here now in LA. I haven't done a theatrical show, a Broadway show, in a very long time. So it's like coming back a bit full circle, even talking with you, since our origins certainly were in New York. Yeah. So right now, for the next several months, I am committed to that and excited to be here. The show has a pre-run here in LA before it gets legs. And so excited to jump back into the theater juices of it and be a part of that. And I guess I can, talk a little bit about what's next. I have some films that are on the horizon that will be starting. Their origins are here in Los Angeles. And then, it's our election season coming up here in November. And so my world gets very, very busy here as we start to head into the midterm election, singing, of course, and then as we get ready for the 2024 presidential election. And so it's always my favorite season during this time of these years, preparing for a presidential election, because our patriotic music is certainly magnified. And Republican or Democrat, whichever side you happen to land on, what's most important is to see the country engaged in wanting to vote and wanting to have a voice and what's happening in the country and putting in the right leaders to certainly make an equal playing field for everyone in the country. And so I always love to raise our patriotic music and unite our hearts, certainly in the context of the election cycle that's going on. So that's a little bit of what's on the horizon, and there's always something that pops up, Angela. You know this business. So.
Yes, that's very exciting, and I don't call it a little bit by no stretch of the imagination. And thank you for sharing that about voting and because there's no way I could live anywhere, for that matter, where we have the right to vote and not exercise that right.
Right. It's very important. And I tell you, India is getting ready as well. The elections for the 2024 for the prime minister coming up. And so, as a lot of countries are facing very important elections in 2024. And so that energy starts now because it's always a year or 2 years out. So,
correct.
I encourage young people. Absolutely. You watching, all of the youth, you are the generation, you are the next generation. So we need you to be active. We need your voices active in your local politics, in your country, and then also active in global politics. It's important that the youth across the world are lending their voices and their perspectives on how we can make the world a better place. Not only our own countries, but how we can make the world a better place. And
A
so,
better place.
yeah.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Question, this may
Yeah.
be cliche, but Mary, if you could change one thing in this world, you personally, what would that be?
Oh, that's a great question. If I could change one thing in this world, uh, I may say two because they
That's
go hand in hand. But I think the first thing is, uh, we have started to see such a rise across the world in various energies of persecution, persecution of who you worship, a religion, persecution of what your race is, persecution of, all types of things. And, and that creates unnecessary prejudice. It creates unnecessary and merited division. And, if there's one thing that could change, I would love to rid the world of that. I'd love to see the world live as children are born. When children are born into the world, they don't see color, they don't see prejudice, they don't see any division. I watch my little nieces and nephews, and they're so young and adorable when they're in their classrooms and playing with their friends, and they're all different races and religions and backgrounds and zip codes, and they don't see any kind of difference. They just see their friend, and there's love there, and there's beautiful, beautiful moments and energy. I would love to rid the world of these mechanisms of persecution, these mechanisms of prejudice, these mechanisms of division. We're all one family. We're all one human race, as I always try to say and sing. And so that would be one thing I wish and try, to be honest. I make it a personal effort, and everywhere I go, everything I do, to remind us that we are one human race, to remind us that we are one family, to remind us that color doesn't matter, and where you're from doesn't matter, and what religion you are doesn't matter, that we are threaded together as a beautiful tapestry. And as long as we have a respect for each other as humanity, then we can coexist even with our differences. And so that would be the dominant thing that I would love to change. The second, in tandem to that is poverty and world hunger. We certainly have some of those problems in the United States, but boy, I tell you, in my travels across the world, America hasn't experienced some of the poverty and world hunger that I have seen certainly across the world. And so I've made it a point, and even in my platform and career, to find ways that I can help, whether it's giving financially or just bringing people to the table, or finding ways that I can support, organizations that are leading across the world, to help alleviate poverty and world hunger, so that we can create an equal playing field for all people, all children, all people, no matter your zip code, no matter your country, no matter where you're from. Everybody deserves an equal playing field to their dreams, and certainly an equal playing field to a livelihood. And, when I see these images and certainly videos and things that go around of, children, starvation and world hunger and the poverty that exists, it really does, Angela, it grieves my heart. And so those would be probably the two things that I would love to see eliminated in the world, and certainly I've committed to myself to finding ways that I can do to be helpful in those areas.
Sure, beautiful. What this is a twofold question.
Mm-hmm.
For those who aspire to go into politics as a living, and what advice would you give them? And for those who aspire to go into entertainment, the performing arts, what advice would you give them?
Be kind. That's the first thing I would say. These professions are all about people, so It doesn't matter the degree for which you enter, these arenas, politics or entertainment. It requires you to have minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, week, month, year, seasons, dealing with all types of people and cultures. And so you have to be a lover of people. You have to be a real lover of humanity to succeed in either one of these professions. So if you don't like people, this is not the right this is not the right professions for you. But at the same token, they are professions that require you to, if you want to succeed in them, it requires you to have a sense of kindness and love for people, certainly a humility and grace. But you really have to love people. You really have to be kind. You really have to be willing to understand and listen, and that certainly will help you become a better leader, a better voice, a better influencer, a better person of impact. If you carry the real genuine nature of what it means to be a lover of people, what it means to be kind, what it means to listen and really want to help people, not because it gives you a platform or because it magnifies you or whatever, or it makes money. No, that you just really have a genuine desire to see the world a better place, a genuine desire to love people and to help people. You will succeed in either one of these professions in that way. And I think also to succeed in entertainment or politics, you have to enter it with an understanding of doing something bigger than yourself. It's very easy to get into entertainment or politics and it be consumed on you. And that sometimes is by default. When you're running for office, there's a lot of attention on you, or when you're governing and when you're standing on a stage or you have a public profile, there's a lot of attention on you. So some of that just happens by default, but it's the awareness of taking that influence, those platforms, the exposure to people and transcending it into something larger than yourself. That's the real impact that you can have in entertainment and politics, when you realize you're given this role, you're given this exposure, you're given these platforms to really make the world a better place, really to help people, really to do something larger than yourself. I have a dear friend who's a pastor in Lynchburg, Virginia, who says real success is when you make someone else's life better. And that is the truth. Success is not about money or materials or all those other things. It really is about how you every day make someone else's life better. And to every young person watching, that is the greatest profession that you can enter. That's the greatest way you will achieve success, is when you sit down every day and say, whatever I'm doing or called to do, how am I making someone else's life better? That's how you certainly will have success, and it's certainly how you will be successful in entertainment or politics.
Oh, wow, that is awesome, awesome advice. Mary, where can our viewers find you? What's the
Yeah.
best way?
Well, I know there's social platforms and things. I'll just be honest. I'm such a private person. I'm never on those things. I have wonderful young people, like all the young people watching, that do those things for me. And I'll just be honest, because I don't. I can't keep up with it all. It's always something changing and on these social platforms and things. So, but I do. I am personally on LinkedIn. I do spend a lot of time there personally in my interfaces and engagement. So if you ever want to, I'll just be transparent. If you ever want to just talk to me directly, start a LinkedIn account and you can always get me there. But certainly the social platforms, the kids do their best to keep up and share things. And I know as the holidays come around, there'll be lots of things coming out about some holiday performances and things. And certainly as we get ready for the show here in LA and concert tour coming up next year and all of the political activity with our presidential election, there'll be lots of things, certainly coming out. But yeah, I tell you, Angela, I have so enjoyed being on the LinkedIn platform personally, because it's just given me a chance to, talk with people directly and touch people across the world. It's such a wonderful and global platform, and so I always like, certainly when we've had our interfaces there, but I am there using myself directly. So yeah.
Awesome. And do you have a website?
I do. It is, I think it is marymillben.com, if I'm not mistaken. And if you do, I think, a Google search, I've never actually done that myself, but I think if you just type in Mary Millben on Google, it should pop up, I think so.
Awesome.
So there's
Awesome.
things there where folks can be connected. But yeah, that's
Awesome. Well, Mary, thank you. We know that you have a very busy schedule, and we do appreciate you taking these moments to speak with us.
absolutely.
You are truly sizzling with substance.
Wow, praise the Lord.
Truly, yes.
Thank God,
Yes.
I tell you. And it's what I honestly, Angela, excuse me, this is what I love to do. I love to take moments like this and talk with friends like you, and certainly talk and inspire our youth across the world. And so I just want to, before we leave, say that to every young person watching this. Again, like Angela and I spoke about earlier in this interview, you have a purpose, you have a calling. It is unique and rare and special, and it's only fashioned for you. And so I hope that you grab a hold of that. If you don't know what that is yet, get on LinkedIn and send me a message and let's talk about it. I want to help you find it, because the faster you get to it, the faster you get to doing exactly what you're called to do on this earth, and it will help change someone else's life. This same pastor in Lynchburg that I just love, his name is Bishop S.Y. Younger. He has a great church in Lynchburg, Virginia. And another thing that he said is that someone out there is connected to your survival. He said that here recently. And I believe that, because whatever you're called to do, it's connected to someone else's success, someone else's survival. And so it's so important, every young person watching, for you to believe that you have a purpose on this earth, you have a specific assignment on this earth to do. And it is something for the greater good. It is something larger than yourself, to make someone else's life better and to help somebody else survive. And so tap into that, believe in that. And if there's anything I can do to help you get to it, I'm here to help. So
That's fabulous. I always say, the gifts that I've been given in this lifetime, when I close my eyes for the last time, I want to be able to say that I've used every bit of gift and talent that I was entrusted with.
yes,
And I think that's important to understand really what it's all about, what really getting down to the nitty gritty of what life really means.
absolutely.
And I think that is just such a perfect, why you, Mary, with your inspirational but transformative story, is so powerful, and one that needed to be heard is because of that. Is because of the way this is the good news about YUCI Talks. We highlight young people who are making a social impact and have amazing stories. We also speak to adults who
Yes.
who are able to share their story,
Yes.
and what they went through, that journey, what that looks like, and not to ever give up, and how to stay the course and stay true to yourself.
Yes.
Which is hugely important, because you can get lost out there. You can lose yourself,
Absolutely.
which is a subject, we could go into that for a whole nother hour. But Mary, this is why your voice is so important, and your platform, because you exude that. You exude inspiration. You exude transformation. And your love just comes, that love and kindness that you have just comes out. It's just pouring, it's oozing out of your pores. And I'm hopeful and prayerful that those who are watching, and by the way, the YUCI, the Youth United Council of India, has a footprint in 57 countries.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes. The founder and visionary, who always stays hidden, he wants to kill me when I want to bring him out front.
I know, I want to meet him.
Say that again so he can.
Yes, I want to meet him.
Yeah, he's a brilliant young man, and his vision is far-reaching.
Wonderful.
And it's contagious.
Yes.
When you're on the battleground like that, it draws the right people in and connecting to you. We're in 57 countries, and his goal was 100.
Wonderful. Well, let's get to 100. Whatever I can do to help you get to 100, because you're right, Angela. What you said to the youth watching in all 57 countries and more, but also to the adults. That same message of purpose and assignment is to adults as well. There's no age factor to God and what he wants to do through you. There's no age factor to life. It's what I honestly so love about one of the aspects of the Indian culture, how the Indian culture puts a lot of emphasis on elders, a lot of emphasis on latter part of life and season of life, and not only caring for your elders, but the respect that's put on that season of life. And I think that sometimes there's this perception that, once you hit 50 and beyond, that, they always say it's downhill, or that you're posted to the end of life, and that's not true. Sometimes that's when it starts. I've had lots of friends, in their careers, have a whole new trajectory start in the latter part of life. And so life is not over until you take your last breath and get to the heavens and hear, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." Until then, you still have a lot of life to live. And should see it that way, no matter what your age is or what season of life you're in, whether you're 25, 55, or 75, there's still much you can contribute to the world, contribute to your immediate community. And you should absolutely live life that way and be inspired to do that, regardless of age or season of life. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mary. Mary Millben, thank you for sharing your pearls of wisdom.
You're welcome.
We love you.
Love you.
Yes, we're looking forward to just, keeping up with you. I'm looking forward to keeping up with you and watching all the wonderful content that you put out on LinkedIn. And we hope that we get a chance to maybe chat with you later down the road of peace.
Would love to. Yes.
That would be really great. But again, you have summed it up, what life is really all about, and purpose, and using the talents that you have been given for something that is higher than you. Yeah. And for that, we are grateful. And for that, young lady, you are changing the world.
Oh, bless you.
God bless you.
Bless you, Angela. Love to all the young people watching, and to my beloved family in India. And I will see India again in January. And Angela's coming with me. So
Yes. Listen, everyone, that's Mary Millben, who, you heard it here. She is one of the most, again, a friend. I don't want to re-say everything that we just said, but she's truly a friend and a woman of immense value. She's strikingly on point with purpose. And for that, I am indebted for her to call me a friend. That has touched me in such deep ways. And these are the type of people that we enjoy having on our show. Thank you, Mary Millben.
Lots of love. Bless you. Bless you.
Yes. And everyone, again, we thank you for joining in with us today. We hope you enjoyed our conversation. We hope you enjoyed Mary, and that you will jump on LinkedIn. If you don't have an account, start one. Google her, take a look at all the magnificent work that she is doing and has done. And anyone who wants to find out more about what we're doing as an organization, we encourage you to visit our website, which is our name, www.youthunitedcouncilofindia.org. youthunitedcouncilofindia.org. And anyone who would like to join forces with us, help us along the way, help us reach more of the world, please reach out to us. Yes. We would love to talk with you. So we thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, create a great week for yourself. Ciao.